not seen a doctor. A doctor hadn't seen him for 12 hours. Is that right?
When he was, we're talking about Guam Memorial Hospital. He was admitted to Guam Memorial Hospital on the morning of the 30th. He came in through the ER, and in the ER he saw the staff at the ER. They did everything they're supposed to do. They didn't put him into ICU, which they should have. But anyways, then they admitted him to a room. I think it was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and maybe at 7 p.m. Dr. Garrido, the pediatrician, came in for about 10 minutes, at the most, maybe 12 minutes, and he told me that it looks like my son has pneumonia, and also there might be something else going on, but it wasn't clear. But I'm talking about pneumonia.
And they never told you at this point that he was going to septic shock?
They never said anything about how serious his condition was. A matter of fact, from the very beginning, I knew he was sick, but I was never led to believe, told by anyone, that he was dying. I had no idea what was going on, except that he had pneumonia. Pneumonia, he's in the hospital, he's going to be okay, and so forth, and something else is going on, and they're going to take care. They're going to take care. And also at that time, I didn't realize that they never did a virus culture. He had a virus, because they did an X-ray in the ER, and they said he has a virus, and they said it looks like pneumonia, but they never cultured it. And from what I understand later on, hospitals are supposed to culture a virus because they want to know what they're treating or what they're dealing with, and there's public health issues that might go along with it, which became more prevalent later on. So maybe at 7 p.m., I don't know the exact time, 7 to 7:15, Dr. Garrido, my son passed away 12 hours later, about 7 a.m. in the morning, and no one, many nurses, no doctor that I know of ever, and I was holding my son all night. I'm in bed with him all night holding. It was my job to hold the respirator on his face. I said to them, "You're in the pediatric ward. Don't you have a way to hold the respirator on?" He kept fighting and taking it off. I said, "Isn't there some other way?" I don't know anything about these things. I'm not a doctor. No, so just help us and you just hold the respirator. So all night I held his respirator in place, and he keeps pulling it off, and he's arguing with me. Doesn't want the respirator. He's 5. Doesn't want the respirator on his face. And no doctor came into the room to look at him at all the whole night. He passed around 7 a.m. in the morning. I don't remember the exact hour, about 12 hours after Dr. Garrido came in. And at that time, about 8 doctors come running in. Dr. Garrido, Sormento, people in the ER, and some other doctors, I don't remember their names, all come running in to try to revive him and give him condolences. And I'm thinking to myself, where were you all night? First of all, I didn't know my son was dying. I have no idea I have no idea.
Were there no alerts that went off?
Yeah. For me, there was some alerts. The first alert is that he had blood coming from his nose, and I said to the nurses, I said, "What's this? What's this?" And she said, "Well, sometimes the respirator will dry out the nose, and this is common for blood to come up." So I bought into that, and he's fit. No, doctor. The nurse told me that. No doctor. And then the nurse told me also that they were thinking about his oxygen level was at, if I remember, it was like 88%, and it's supposed to be up over 90, like 92 or 93 or something. So that's why we have to keep the respirator on and so forth and so on. And at maybe 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, they told me that we have to move. We're thinking about moving him into ICU.
Without a doctor examining.
No doctor came in the room. They might be looking at the records that the nurses are taking out, but no doctor came in that room. I was with my son all night. No doctors. And that's why I'm thinking he's not that sick. I'm buying into the whole concept of what my observations are. My observations are he's got blood. He said it's because of this. His face also didn't look right to me. It looked like he was getting some swelling. Something wasn't right. I'm telling this to the nurse. So they said, we're thinking about putting him into the ICU. Then maybe about 15 minutes after she said that, she goes, instead of putting him to ICU, we're going to move him next to our desk. So in other words, there's a series of pediatric rooms, treatment rooms, hospital rooms in the pediatric ward. And he was down maybe towards the end, so they moved him right across from the nurses station. But still, across from the nurse's station is not the ICU. So I thought, okay, so so that way they're closer, so they come in. I'm thinking to myself, everything's going to be okay. And I'm just going by what they're saying. You know, I feel bad about this because maybe I should have known more, maybe I should look closer, or what. When his mom had called and spoke to him on the phone, she said to me, "He doesn't look well." I said, "Yes, he doesn't look well at all, but they're saying this and that, and they're treating him and so forth." A lot of this didn't become noticeable. I didn't realize a lot of this until after he had passed, and we went back and started looking at the medical records, and realized no doctor saw my son.
And no nurse.
The nurses were there. They were in the room all the time. They were there all the time. I can't say the nurses were there. They were taking his vitals. I don't know even. I'm not sure when they took blood tests, but I know they took a blood test of him at 6 a.m. in the morning, from what I understand. He died about 7. So I'm wondering if they took the blood. Maybe the blood test result wasn't out. If they took a blood test at 6, couldn't they see how he looked? He was in trouble, distressed. The blood test would have shown all of it. It's done stat. By the time they got, maybe he had already passed. I don't know. I'm just looking at what the record says. But they're looking at him all night. I'm laying him in bed, and I'm keeping asking him. It's very difficult to hold the respirator. I'm not complaining, but it's very difficult to hold the respirator on a 5-year-old who's arguing with you the whole night. That's why I know that he should probably have been intubated, because he was fighting to keep that respirator on. And we're in a pediatric unit. They must face this all the time. So, yeah. So no doctors came in the whole time, and they never did the virus. They never even cultured him to find out what virus he had. And then at 7 o'clock, around 7 o'clock in the morning, he passed.
Well, what time was the last time he spoke to you?
Let's see. I was talking to him. I was talking to him all night because, trying to keep the mask on. He kept putting his arms around me. I said, "Daddy, I love you." Sorry. He kept telling me, "Daddy, I love you," 2 or 3 times during the night. He told the nurse, "I love my daddy." I said to him, "We need to take a trip when you get out of here. Where do you want to go?" He said, "I want to go to Hong Kong, Disneyland." I said, "Okay, but you got to keep the respirator on, okay? Because that's the way we're going to..." He said, "Okay, Daddy." At 5:30 in the morning, I was talking to him about 5 o'clock, at 5:30 in the morning. I think that was about the last time I talked to him. He died like an hour later.
Did he seem to be in?
No, at 5:30. At 5:30, he was already...
This won't change all the bad things that we understand happening on Guam, that happen right in front of our eyes, will not change without a change in our leadership forced through a political revolution that comes from the people. Denise Pangilinan and Sandra Seo are onto something, and we should support that effort if we want to have justice for Asher Dean, if we want